My name is Chris Egan. I'm a lieutenant with the Allen Park Police Department. I'm also the hostage negotiator commander of our Downriver Mutual Aid SWAT team, which is 19 cities to mutual aid. So we're actually bigger than the size of the Detroit square footage area that we cover for crisis incidents such as barricaded gunmen, hostage situations, suicidal subjects, things like that. I'm the platoon commander, and my platoon of officers try and teach them to show empathy and put yourself in another person's shoes, which I think is what's lacking in some of law enforcement nowadays. I think that should be taught in the police academies and the colleges, so officers have a little different perspective. And that's what First Step gave me, is a different perspective from the law enforcement side. So I was able to see domestic violence from the survivor's standpoint and hear those complaints they had about maybe how they were treated as law enforcement or how they perceived they were treated. From my perspective, the vast majority of law enforcement people that I've worked with, and I've worked in 3 different police departments, are out there trying to make a difference, trying to help that person, but sometimes they don't understand the whole dynamics of it. So when someone's assaulted, they want to go in, rescue them, save the day, and don't understand the dynamics behind it of, you know, the house and the kids and the jobs and upsetting their whole life. So seeing from that perspective really helped me. Again, law enforcement has changed, so it isn't like old Adam 12 and 2, you see them talking in the car. We're single vehicle cars in most police departments, so a lot of times you need to wait for that backup, that other officer. Vast majority of police officers get killed in domestic violence situations, so you have that moral conflict of, I want to get there and help this person, but at the same time I know if I go and I get killed, it doesn't help anybody, so you have to wait for backup. And that's why I'd love to see cities go back to at least 1 or 2 cars that have 2 officers in it, so they can respond to that call. And that's what we try and do the majority of the time when I have that 1 extra officer. So that's the first conflict, is getting there safely. But we try and separate parties so both parties feel that they feel comfortable enough to tell their side of the story and not be intimidated. So it's not an easy situation to maneuver through. I've seen everything. I've seen everything from marks on someone's wrists or their throat to complete, you know, being people shot, being people stabbed. I've seen people beaten up, and unfortunately I've seen people killed. And that's the thing with domestic violence, it's a wide range. And I've just seen people completely emotionally beat down and held in a house where not being allowed to be let go to work, no cell phone, no house and phone in the house, and actually lock the door. I've seen people in the worst state that you can imagine. But for that person, it takes a lot of strength to risk escaping and knowing that if you get caught, you could die. Our detectives will interview all parties, and a lot of times that's where the case kind of falls apart, because after the person is in jail and maybe they bond out and family and friends start telling them you better not prosecute him, or what are you doing, or he didn't mean it, or he was drunk, or things like that. A lot of people will sign off and not want to pursue it. And one of the things that I found very helpful was First Step and their advocates being able to guide people through that environment. And a lot of the cities have those people embedded in their departments that have a high number of domestic violence calls and things like that. And I've had the luxury of working with them on both sides. You know, they assist the police side of it, but more importantly, they assist the survivor side of it. So they go through and they can explain to them what's going to happen in an arraignment, what's going to happen when it goes to trial, what's going to happen in a plea bargain, how to get a personal protection order and things like that. You know, so that makes a difference. I think from the police side it helps us, but more importantly from the survivor side. As far as what they're doing now with their counseling and their housing and providing child care and things like that, it really makes a difference. Transportation to court, things like that. First Step's facility is top of the line. I was on a board for safety planning with them, and they absolutely took the safety seriously. And just about everything that we asked them to implement, myself and the other board members, they put in to help keep not only the survivors and their children, but also the employees safe there. And those things are real important. So I think they have the security side of it pretty well, as well as the emotional and the counseling side really well. It is a safe, clean environment where you can have private counseling. I've had the luxury of sitting in a group counseling, and one of the things that made a difference to me is hearing how strong these women and some men that are in that situation are. And to me, that really was powerful to hear, all the different stories, but the strength of I'm gonna get through this for myself and for my kids. But it's not very easy to do. It's like I said, it's easy to say, it's not easy to do. And First Step provides that guidance and that safe harbor. And I think it's absolutely saved lives. But they're there to help guide you and help. So when you're ready to take that step, to get you through, and that's why their name's First Step.